Hello y'all, and welcome to YoungFolkKnits. Today I'm going to be chatting all about my recently finished objects, what I am working on now, and what I hope to start very soon. So stick around. Hello y'all, and welcome to YoungFolkKnits. If you're new here, my name is Casey, and on this channel I share all about my love of fiber arts. So there's knitting, spinning, sewing, crochet, whatever else we might be dabbling in at the moment, and I occasionally share about living on a small farm here in Arkansas. So if any of that sounds like it might be your cup of tea, then make sure and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future video content. Let's see, it is mid-March. Well, it's actually a little bit past mid-March. It's getting into late March, and as I mentioned before, tornado season is here. We had about 4 tornadoes all around us this last weekend, and I wanted to say thank you so much for all the kind messages I received checking on me and our families, and I just wanted to let you all know we are totally fine. Our property was left completely unscathed, which I feel a little guilty about because just a few miles from our home, many people lost everything. All these little communities just all around us were left devastated by these multiple tornadoes. My parents actually had one of the worst tornadoes. It ended up being rated as a EF4, which, if you're familiar with the scale of tornadoes, we are very familiar with it around here because, you know, we live in Tornado Alley. But that's a pretty strong tornado, and it did a lot of damage. They actually filmed the tornado coming right for them. Then, of course, they had to get in their basement, but they have been left without power for days. They had damage, and thankfully they do still have their home. So many were left without homes. There were a few that were killed, and it has just been absolutely horrible. I really hope that this is not setting the tone for the rest of tornado season, but it started off with a bang, that is for sure. Happy to say that all of my parents' animals are okay. They went out as soon as the tornado went through, which, you know, this is getting close to midnight at this point now. They went outside to check on the horses, and the horses were just walking around eating grass in the fields. They recovered from the shock quickly. They were doing just fine. But yeah, last weekend was quite the harrowing weekend. On to happier subjects though. I do have a finished object this week, which it feels like it's been a while since I've had a finished object. So I'm very excited. And that is the DRK Everyday Cardi, which I am currently wearing. All right, I have to tell y'all, I love this cardigan pattern. It is so good. I saw it and I immediately knew I wanted to test it because it just looked like the perfect everyday cardigan. I mean, the name actually really fits it. It just looked like something that would be an heirloom piece, something I would wear and wear and wear. It looked like something that could be dressed up with a more modern feel, or it looked like something I could wear outside on the farm and it'd be perfect. It looked like something Helen from All Creatures Great and Small would totally rock. So I loved it. And Andrea knit her sample out of Mountain Meadow wool 2-ply sport weight yarn, and she used that same yarn for her DRK Everyday sweater. I loved the tweedy look of her sweater. I love those pictures. I have not knit that pattern yet. Excuse me. One of the things I love about it in her pictures is the color. So I decided this would be the perfect opportunity to try out the yarn, and I did get the Mountain Meadow wool 2-ply, the sport weight, in the tweed flint is the color. So it's this brown gray mixed with a light gray with brown undertones, and it's natural wool. It's the color of the wool itself plied together. It's not a dyed wool, and I just love it. It's so farmy, it's so woolly, but it's so soft. I think it's a mix of merino and rambouillet, but it's just incredibly amazing to feel it, to knit with it. I wasn't, it's not some exciting color. And so when I was knitting with it, I was like, oh, this feels so amazing to knit with. But once I took it off the needles and put it on my body, it feels amazing to wear. I just can't get over how good it feels. Okay, so that's enough about the yarn. Let me tell you more about the pattern. So this is a raglan style cardigan, and you have a high collar that is folded over, and you have the option of either wearing this with the purl side out or reverse stockinette, or you can wear it with the knit side out or the regular stockinette side out. So I decided to do purl side out because I think that the details shine so nicely with the purl side out. And I love having that texture. I think it blends so nicely. I feel like you really don't have to decide for sure which side you want to wear out until you fold your collar down and sew it down. So really you could knit the whole body of your sweater, and then you could decide before you did your button bands. I knew I wanted to purl side out, but I waffled. I really did, until I completely finished the ribbing and everything, and it was time for me to do my sleeves. The wonderful thing about this though is that whenever you do your sleeves, you're able to knit them inside out. So if you're doing it with the purl side out, you can pick up your stitches in a way that it hides the pickup line there. It looks really neat, but you would go ahead and knit it inside out, and that way you're only knitting. You're not purling. These sleeves flew off the needles. I used 9-inch circulars, and they really did. I actually used 12-inch circulars for the majority of it, and then I ended up going to 9-inch circulars like right here. The sleeves just went by so fast because I knit them knit side out. So then you go back and you do your button band, and you are closing up your collar as you do it. So I will tell y'all I made a mistake. The button band is actually supposed to be knit as just plain double knit, but I wasn't paying close enough attention, and the way you cast on your stitches, you then knit through the back loop because you're doing a tubular cast on basically, and you need to rearrange your stitches. And I just, for some reason, continued to knit the entire button band in twisted rib through the back loop, double knit. My hands almost fell off. I wanted to die. They hurt. Just the button band I thought would never end. And I asked the tech editor, I was like, I think there's a problem here on the pattern because it just says to knit. It doesn't say on this part to knit through the back loop. And Megan was like, you're not supposed to be knitting through the back loop. And I just about died at that point. So yes, read your pattern carefully. I will say that the twisted rib looks fabulous, if I do say so myself. And it definitely made it very neat. I had some trouble with getting the edge to look really nice and neat. I feel like there's a lot of stitches kind of squished together, and I did have a little bit of trouble. Blocking helped for sure, but I maybe should have gone down another needle size for my button band. I do get very loose, unfortunately, with my knitting. But I think that the button band turned out really nicely in the end after blocking. Then I went back and sewed on my buttons, and I am using Holland Hoof buttons. If you haven't checked out their button store, you need to. It's this amazing small business. They make all of their own buttons. These are wood, but they have so many adorable clay buttons. I have a huge collection of them now. Yes, I love them. So is this my new favorite cardigan? I think it is. I love it. Would I make another one? Absolutely. In fact, I really want to make one out of hand spun, but I have to say this yarn is amazing. If you haven't tried it, this would be a great opportunity to try it. Another very similar yarn is the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Recollect or Reminisce bases. They are 2-ply as well, Rambouillet, or I think one of them has Mountain Merino in it. So very similar base. If you want to try something else out, maybe in a different color, those are also some good options. I think Pearl Soho Good Wool would be another great option. It is a sport weight. North Bay Fiber Elemental Sport would be really good. Sonder Yarn Co. Luxe Sport would be so luxurious. A more budget-friendly option, I think Cascade 220 Sport. I think that would be amazing in this sweater as well. So lots of different options, and I can't wait to see this sweater and knit up in all the different yarns. It's just really lovely pattern. I would highly recommend going with a 0 positive ease. I think it looks better than a lot of positive ease in this sweater. One of my friends was testing this, Sam, and hers actually had more positive ease in it, which was originally recommended, and it just wasn't fitting right. So I think she's ripping back and going to make it smaller with less positive ease, and I think that she's right. I think it does look better. So mine has 0 positive ease. I was very careful with blocking, and this is not superwash wool, so it doesn't on its own just stretch out wildly as soon as it gets wet. You can block it out if you do it very intentionally, but it holds its shape really nicely. So I was able to smush and keep it very carefully in the shape I wanted it, because I did not want it to grow at all. In fact, I almost wanted it to shrink if I could make it. So I actually blocked it down a little bit longer instead of out. I did not want it any positive ease whatsoever. So I tried to smush it in a little bit, and I'm very happy with the fit. I think it turned out exactly the way I wanted it. So I would keep that in mind when choosing my size. In my opinion, I think this cardigan just looks better with less ease. That's a personal choice though. Some of you guys may do like a cropped version with a lot of positive ease, and that would probably be absolutely adorable as well. I can't wait to see more projects, so I'll have more of an idea on how it fits on all kinds of bodies and styles and lengths and shapes. I'm excited to see a lot of new projects. Okay, first of all, something you've already seen. I am still working away on my test knit, which is still a secret test knit. I've got 2 sleeves though, and I've also cast on and I've been working on the body. This is in North Bay Heritage Sport, which is an absolutely lovely targy wool. It is woolen spun, it's light, it's airy, but it's soft. And this is the color Holly. And oh my goodness, y'all, the best red ever. It's so good. I really love it. This is going to be another fabulous sweater. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about this is that I also sewed a skirt to go with it. So I recently I test sewed a pattern for the meakerhaus, and it is this beautiful Nadine skirt. It's got a full-length button panel, and it's a 2-tiered skirt. So here's the first and here's the second, and it has a waist that is no elastic. It is just made to fit snugly and exactly to your measurements, and I love it so much. So I used Matchy Matchy Sewing Club's fabric in their, I want to say, is it like a railroad stripe or anyway, it's a black and oat colored stripe fabric. And I just think this is gonna look so good together. I had this in mind when I made both of them. So I think this is gonna be really fun. The skirt is available now. And if I was making this again, I think I might go up a size for my waistband and then put some elastic in just the back of it. And I got some white linen fabric that I think I might do that for this skirt, and I think it would be a really nice summer and spring sewn linen skirt to wear. All right, another whip that I have been working on is actually something really fun. It is a pattern that I have already written, and I am working on getting it ready for testing. I actually was going to send out a call for test knitters this past week, but things got a little bit crazy and I wasn't able to. But sign up for my newsletter, because if you're interested at all in test knitting, because I am hoping to have it ready in the next week or so. But it is a cute little sock. Well, goodness, I don't even know if I can hold it where you can see it. The yarn I'm using for this is the Wool and Twine Elvis sock, which is my current favorite sock yarn. I love it so much. And I'm a huge fan of ruffly socks. I have made socks, ruffly socks by Sari Nordland and Summerlee. I just love them so much. But one of the things I have a problem with is that as the ruffle hits the sock, a lot of times it's so loose, it does not hug my foot in a way that I like. It doesn't feel right sometimes because it's too loose right there. So I wanted to write a sock with a little bit of an adjustment to make the ruffle fit my leg better. And I had this soft little texture pattern in mind for all over texture on the sock. And then it's got a cute little toe as well. I did a hidden rib underneath the ruffle, which you can't see. So it adds a little bit of stability to where the ruffle meets the leg. I think that this is going to be a fun little sock to wear with Birkenstocks. I'm just really excited. So I've actually got a couple of sock patterns coming out this spring, and this is going to be one using Wool and Twine. I can't wait to show you some of the others. but this is just a very simple sock that has some details to make it really fun and feminine and engaging to knit, I think. Okay, y'all, the knit along for the Stornoway sweater is over. It was so much fun. Surprise, surprise, I did not finish my sweater yet. Who's surprised? Nobody. But I do love it. I love the yarn so much. I used Sewrella worsted, and I think it's going to actually be a perfect spring sweater. I just need to hurry up and finish it. But the nice thing about this knit along is you weren't required to finish the sweater, and I think that's reasonable because I think a lot of us, life happens and it's hard to knit on a deadline. It's for fun. So it's okay that I didn't finish. I will finish. Rachel and Jessica both finished theirs, and they are both absolutely beautiful and stunning. So go check theirs out, those twins who knit. And oh my goodness, all of y'all made color choices and styling choices that I'm obsessed with. And it was the best sweater squad. I loved it. So I think Jessica and Rachel and I will have to do a knit along again before too long because we had a blast. Stay tuned. Prizes will be announced very shortly, and thank you all so much for knitting with us. I loved it. I want to show y'all a few new yarns that have jumped into my stash. First of all is when I got in a D-stash on Instagram, and this is Explore Knits and Fibers, and it is their Rockies DK base. So it's 100% superwash merino. And it came in, the D-stash had 2 skeins, and I really only needed 1 because I had in mind I want to use this for a hat. I think maybe even like the Pearl Soho classic ribbed hat's kind of my go-to, but there's a lot of different options. But there were 2 in the listing, so I snagged them both, and now I'm wondering, what should I do? Should I do a different pattern that uses both? I don't know. I think I'll probably stick with the hat and just throw the other one in stash because there's a lot of DK sock patterns I really like. And I may just save this, and I might even knit up some socks with the other skeins with my leftovers. Love these. I think they're so cute, and I love getting things in a D-stash. The other thing I got is this Recollect base from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. And this is the color, the Sapphire Empress. It's this beautiful sea green color, which I feel like it just matches my plants. I love this color so much. I got 4 skeins of this, yeah. And I'm using this, no, I must have got 5 because I've got the other one. I'm using this for a test knit. Excited to show y'all soon. And it is just a lovely, lovely base. It is possibly one of my favorite bases of all time. I love this 2-ply so much. So that is, I think, a beautiful color. And the other yarn that I got, I am holding in this pie bag. So it was Pie Day 3.14. It was Pie Day last week, and I loved it. I love Pie Day. So this bag is made by the Rose and the Wren, Jane. She sewed this and gifted it to me. Oh, I love Jane. She is the sweetest, and I love her quilted bags. Y'all know I've got multiples. This one is just so cute. She did a quilt block with a pie on it, and then she put 3.14 at the top embroidered. But I even just love the back, how it's quilted, and the colors in this are so cute. So I am using a yarn I have never used before. I recently got this Jill Draper Kingston, which is a DK weight, amazing Tweety yarn from Black Mountain Yarn Shop. I can't tell y'all how long I have been eyeing this yarn and loving it, but I didn't really have the perfect project to use it in. And I am working on a brioche project, and so I decided that these 2 colors would be perfect because they're very similar, but one is a little bit darker than the other. So I think together they just look so good in the brioche. And they actually look so cute in my pie bag. Life is busy. Knitting is busy. So this needs to be finished this next week. I've got about a week to finish that. So I need to probably focus on it. I'm also trying to get some spinning done and some sewing done. I've gone through my fabric and I've sort of got a stack I've picked out of my summer color palette. I like for all of my colors to go together because when I sew some things, I knit things, I want them to all be interchangeable, mix and match. I want it to be a cohesive wardrobe that I can pair all of these things together. So I sort of went through my stack and I picked out my color palette, and I will show that to y'all next time, what I am thinking about for this summer. What have I been listening to? So I just downloaded From Here to the Great Unknown on Libby. It finally became available. I've had it in my queue forever. And it is the autobiography of Lisa Marie Presley, and it has sound bites from her. It is also finished by her daughter Riley Keough, and it is narrated by Julia Roberts as well, who narrates for Lisa Marie Presley. I've just started it, but it is so incredibly sad. It just has, her whole life just feels so deeply unhappy. It sounds like from the time she was born, she had no structure. It just feels very sad. I think her dad did love her, absolutely, but he didn't give her what she needed. And her mother failed her as well. And it just sounds like she led a very unhappy life, and I don't even know if I can finish the book. It's just so depressing. It breaks my heart. I've also been listening to Elvis and Me, which is written by her mother, Priscilla Presley. And I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of weirdness with Elvis. I didn't realize, hearing about his relationship with Priscilla Presley as a young girl, I'm just like, whoa, this is weird. I feel like they were all deeply unhappy people. There was a lot of trauma and a lot of unhealthy relationships, for sure. I'm just desperately waiting for the autobiography of Cher to become available on Libby. I've had it in my queue for months since it released, and I'm still so far back in line. I'm just patiently waiting. I think it would be a riot. I cannot wait for it to become available. And I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit less depressing. Before I go, I want to mention that my last video, I did have a giveaway for the new Lindsey Fowler book, Trails and Valleys from Lina, and I want to put the winner here on the screen. Thank you all so much for watching the video and for commenting on it. So if you would, please email Casey@YoungFolkKnits.com and I will get your book sent to you. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I would love to gift one of you a copy of the DRK Everyday Sweater. So if you would like to knit it, then leave a comment on this video and I will pick a winner and gift one of you the pattern. If you win and you've already bought the pattern, then I will just have you choose a different pattern and I will email it to you instead. No worries. So just comment below and you'll be entered to win. Thanks again. I hope you're all enjoying your making this week. I hope it's bringing you joy and comfort and peace. I know I'm so grateful for the joy it brings me in my life. Until next time, happy knitting, y'all.